Next conference I won't need this.
Gostaria de pontuar justamente isso, no final da sua exposição. Você comentou uma coisa prática, que eu acho que o modelo ele é muito bem estruturado, tem tudo para dar certo, mas agora voltando para isso aí que você acabou de falar, o hospitalista não se tornar igual um médico de pronto-socorro, que fica 2, 3 anos no pronto-socorro até achar alguma coisa melhor. Eu queria ter de forma prática, como que é o dia a dia seu dentro do hospital, você fica no hospital de que horas a que horas, qual o tempo que você tem, porque hoje essa geração nova que está vindo aí, e na qual eu me incluo, a grande maioria que se inclui, valoriza muito a qualidade de vida. É o tempo que você está com a família, é o tempo que você tem para fazer um esporte, o tempo que você tem para descansar. Como é o dia a dia do hospitalista, o seu dia a dia lá, para tentar vender esse peixe para nós também, né?
There's two issues. First, I am in academic hospital medicine, which is about 20% of the total of hospitalists in the United States. In academic hospital medicine, it's completely different because my schedule is 4 weeks of vacation a year, 1 week of continuing medical education a year, and then the rest of the year I work in teaching a team of residents, medical students, and I work about half of my year doing that. The other half of the year is administrative and some outpatient stuff and some quality stuff that I do for the hospital. And to me, it's a perfect lifestyle for me because I love to teach and I love being in the hospital, and I have some very intense months when I'm on clinical service. It's different than Guilherme told me once, I mean, that it's kind of like you're working in that model all year round. But for academic hospitalists in the United States, we work like a month, and then we do a month something else, then we do a month of inpatient again. So we might do half our time on inpatient, whereas the other 80% of hospitalists are basically, they come in 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 12 hours, and they work 7 days. The most common model is 7 days of 12 hours, and then off for a whole week, and they have 26 weeks a year off. The problem with that schedule is burnout, I think, because after your training, you're like, wait a minute, 26 weeks a year off, this is great. I mean, but then what happens is you realize that, well, 26 weekends a year you're working. If you average it out, it's an 84-hour work week divided by 2, so you're really working about 42 hours a week continuously. You're working weekends half the time when your friends are off. When you have off during the week, nobody's around because everyone else is working. So you're like, oh yeah, this is great, I'm not working, but like your friends and everyone else is working, so you don't enjoy it as much. Or you then become part of committees, and now you're like Jamie Newman said, you're going into the hospital now when on your time off. So John Nelson, who is one of the founders of the Society, he talks about the systole and the diastole of hospital medicine. And the systole being your week of work, that squeeze, and then the relaxation period being that week off. Well, he's very concerned, and he says this very, very well, and it makes me always laugh, that if the best part of your job that you love the most is when you're not there, then that is threatening to your career or may potentially burn you out. Because so if you're a young physician and the best thing that you say, oh, this is great, half the year I don't have to work, as opposed to saying, you know what, when I wake up in the morning and I come into work, I love rolling up my sleeves and getting to work. I enjoy what I'm doing. I feel such satisfaction. I know that I'm helping patients and their families and advancing my field, and I'm being a pioneer on the forefront of a great new movement in medicine. Those are big differences, and I think we have to be very concerned about the 7-day on, 7-day off hospital model, because eventually, if that's all that you do, I don't think that's sustainable for a career. I think but most people who have careers in hospital medicine, they do that for a few years, and then they start to do things where the hospital buys their time, and they have clinical time that's taken away. They do administrative work, they do patient safety, they do quality, they are on their board administration for other things, rapid response committees or CPR committees or whatever there may be a need for, utilization and review of bed management issues. And then you find that, okay, you've been able to do less clinical care, and I think that's ultimately important. Everybody has to grow into a role that's sustainable, and I think those are the challenges, as you say. And in Brazil, I think that has to be the same thing. You have to, at some point, find a lot of meaning in the stuff you do, just not a schedule where you have some free time, because you find that the free time might not be everyone else's free time, and then that's not as good either.